Rain slapped against the windows of Mira's small self-contained apartment in Lekki, a rhythmic drumming that should have comforted her, but tonight, it only mirrored the storm inside her chest. Her trembling hands struggled to zip up her boots as her mind replayed the horror of what she had seen just hours ago. The betrayal. The lies. The man she had planned her future with, the man she gave her loyalty and years to, cheating. With her best friend. Earlier that day. She hadn't planned to stop by Demola's place unannounced. She had cooked his favorite afang soup and fufu, the kind he always begged her mother to make during festive seasons. She was excited, even humming as she walked up the steps to his flat. They'd talked about taking the next step, engagement. Or so she thought. She unlocked the door with the spare key he gave her just in case. Demola, her best friend's voice came from the bedroom. Her brows furrowed. Why is Lara here? She muttered under her breath, walking slowly toward the half-open bedroom door. And then she saw it. Demola's head was thrown back in ecstasy, Lara straddling him like it was their matrimonial bed. Mira didn't scream. She didn't cry. She froze. Her world imploded silently. Oh my God, Mira. Don't, she choked out, backing away as Lara jumped off, grabbing the sheets. Demola, still tangled in the guilt of his nakedness, began spewing nonsense. Babe, listen, it's not what it looks like. Was it an accident, Demola? Did she trip and fall on your dick? She laughed bitterly. He stood up, reaching for her. You've been so cold. Always pushing back whenever I try. You keep saying no sex before marriage, like that gives you a medal. She stared at him like he was a stranger. So, that gives you the right to do this with her? You're not even adventurous, Mira. Always acting like a saint. I'm a man with needs. Her eyes welled up, but she refused to cry. Then go. Be a man with needs. Just not with me. She walked away. Left the pot of afang soup on his table. Walked out into the rain with her dignity cracking but not broken. That night. Her heart still burned when she got to the bar. Not one of those rowdy joints in Suralere, but a dimly lit, trendy spot in Victoria Island. A place she'd never normally go to. But something inside her screamed to feel something other than heartbreak. She didn't even drink. Mira, her friend Camy blinked. Are you sure you want tequila? You've never. I want to forget, she whispered. And forget she did. The bar was crowded, a low Afrobeats playlist humming in the background, blending with laughter, clinking glasses, and the occasional pop of champagne bottles. Mira took from her third shot of tequila, her tongue numb, her body light, the edges of her vision tinged with warmth and a strange detachment. Her thoughts swam in a cloudy haze. Her heart ached, but her head was floating. It wasn't like she felt drunk, she felt, not herself. Light, heavy, and wrong all at once. Unbeknownst to her, a man across the room had been watching her. Daniel. Reserved, clean-cut in his all-black ensemble, nursing a glass of whiskey, his friends teasing him about his monk lifestyle. A billionaire tech investor who rarely socialized, he'd come out that night to celebrate a deal. But it wasn't the deal that caught his attention. It was her. A girl in a deep green wrap dress, tipsy but not reckless, staring into her glass like it held the answers to a broken life. Her eyes told a story. And Daniel read pain. Then he saw the guy beside her. Leaning in. Dropping something into her drink. Daniel stood so fast, he knocked his chair back. By the time he reached her, the man had fled, and Mira looked dazed. Hey, he said, catching her as she stumbled. You okay? Her eyes fluttered. Do I know you? No. But someone tried to spike your drink. You're not safe here. Camy had stepped away to take a call. Mira blinked, confused, dizzy. A strange pressure was building in her chest, like she wanted to cry and scream all at once, but instead, she just floated. Daniel hesitated. You can come with me. I'll call your friend to meet us, or I can take you somewhere safe. My driver is parked outside. Somewhere inside her blurred thoughts, a voice screamed, don't go. But her body leaned into him. He smelled like musk and warm cedar. His voice was calm. She was tired. Everything felt warm and muffled, like a dream she didn't know how to wake up from. Okay, she whispered. He booked a room at a nearby luxury hotel. He didn't want to bring her home, that would be too much. She sat on the edge of the bed, removing her earrings, her movements slow and unfocused. You should rest, he said gently. Do you want water? She turned to him, her eyes glassy but direct. You're kind. He smiled. You looked like you needed help. I needed to feel seen. You are. She blinked. She stood and stepped toward him. Can I ask you something? Of course. Would you kiss me? She asked, her voice trembling. Please? He looked at her, stunned. You're not thinking clearly. I know. But right now, I don't want to think. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. Please. He hesitated, every nerve in his body tensed. He knew she wasn't herself. He could smell the alcohol and see the tremor in her fingers. But then she reached out, brushing her fingers over his chest like he was her anchor. She leaned forward, her lips barely touching his. He held her shoulders gently, steadying her. You'll regret this, he said softly. Then let me, she whispered. He sighed, the tension between restraint and desire thick in the room. Then he kissed her, softly, tentatively, like she might shatter. She deepened it. It started slow, unsure, but it ignited something raw and deep. Daniel tried to pull back. You're not sober. I know what I want, she breathed. I want to forget. He paused, still holding her face. Tell me your name. Mira. He didn't give his. She kissed him again, and this time he didn't stop her. The kiss grew, hesitant, then hungry. A battle of pain and longing, comfort and confusion. Clothes fell to the floor like petals, and soon their skin met in the quiet of the night. Their bodies moved like they'd known each other longer than a single night, an unspoken rhythm fueled by emotion, need, and vulnerability. Her fingers tangled in his hair as he whispered her name like a prayer. She gasped softly when he touched her like she was precious, not something to be taken, but unwrapped gently. He kissed the space between her breasts, her collarbone, her trembling lips, until her moan filled the dark room and she arched into him. He was slow, reverent, letting her guide what she wanted. Her hands trembled as she touched him, her breath shallow, her eyes sometimes closed as though trying to disappear inside the moment. When they finally joined, her breath caught. It hurt, but not just physically. It was the pain of letting go. Of giving in to the night. Daniel held her as she trembled under him, the emotions too much to hold alone. He moved slowly, deeply, reverently, as if her body was sacred ground he'd been waiting to walk. She cried. Not because of pain. But release. He noticed her hesitation. The way she flinched slightly, winced, but then nodded, whispering okay. And he slowed, even more careful. He asked with his hands, waited for hers to answer. She held his gaze, lips parted, overwhelmed but willing. Something about the way he looked at her, the patience, the tenderness, it cracked her open. He kissed her forehead after, then her shoulder. You okay? He asked gently. She nodded against his chest, her voice small. I think so. Afterwards, she slept like the dead. The next morning. Daniel stood at the window, fully dressed, watching the sunrise stretch over Lagos Island. His phone buzzed, emergency at the Abuja site. Your flight is in 40 minutes. He turned to her one last time. She was curled up, her face calm. He walked out, leaving his number with the receptionist, but she never called. And she never remembered. Until weeks later. The smell of eggs made Mira nauseous. It had started a week ago. Then came the fatigue. The cramps. The sore breasts. At first, she chalked it up to stress. After all, life had been anything but normal since that blurry night weeks ago. Since him. She still didn't know his name. Only a warm memory of kindness, gentle strength, a lingering taste of regret, and lips that had felt like a promise. Her eyes snapped open. Again, she was late. She glanced at her calendar. 6 days past due. No. It couldn't be. She rose shakily from bed, ignoring her growling stomach and the way the room spun briefly when she stood. The walk to the pharmacy felt like a blur, like she wasn't really inside her body. She bought the test, smiled politely, made her way home, locked her door, and sat staring at the pink box for an hour. Then finally. 2 lines. She stared. Then blinked. then stared again. And then her hands began to tremble. No, 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 no. The test clattered to the bathroom floor. She leaned against the wall, sliding slowly to the tiled floor, her knees hugging her chest as her breath came fast and shallow. Tears gathered. This is not happening. But it was. Pregnant. She didn't even remember the man's full face. Didn't know his name. She only knew the warmth in his voice, the way he had respected her even when she asked for something she never would have, if her drink hadn't been. She froze. Oh my God. Had she been drugged? Was it assault? No, she remembered asking. She remembered touching him. She remembered wanting him. Her body had burned for something unfamiliar and wild. But would she have done that sober? The fear came next. Cold and swift. How could she be pregnant? What would her parents say? Her church-going parents? Her fellowship leader mother? Her ex-boyfriend had left her because she said no, and now she was pregnant by a stranger? The irony stabbed like a jagged knife. For 2 weeks, Mira told no one. She went to class like a ghost, drifting through lectures, smiling thinly at Camsy's jokes, ignoring her phone more than she answered it. At night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling, her hand flat on her belly, wondering if there was truly something growing inside her. A life. A child. Theirs. The mysterious man who had vanished from her life just as quickly as he entered. She retraced her steps a dozen times. She went back to the bar, asked questions, even described him to the bartender. But no one had answers. She didn't even have a name. No last name. No contact. Do you remember anything else? The bartender asked, genuinely trying to help. Mira shook her head. Just his eyes. And a gentle voice. It sounded insane. But it was all she had. The real breakdown came 3 nights later. Mira was brushing her hair in front of the mirror when she paused and looked at herself, really looked. Her face had changed. Softer somehow. Her eyes looked distant. Older. She didn't recognize herself. A sob rose in her throat. She pressed her palm to her chest as her knees buckled and she sank to the floor. I can't do this. I don't even know who he is. I don't know what to do. Tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. All she had ever wanted was to wait. To find love the right way. To give her heart and body to someone who truly saw her. And now? God, please, help me. The prayer came in a whisper, almost drowned by the sound of her grief. She was alone. Or so she thought. Camy had always known when something was wrong. But lately, Mira had taken avoiding her to a whole new level. She was quieter, paler, and the usual spark in her eyes had dimmed into a tired flicker. Her laughter was rare. Her smile, forced. So Camy waited. She didn't pry. Not yet. But one Saturday evening, just before dusk, Mira showed up at her door. Camy opened the door and blinked. Mira's eyes were red. Her lips trembled. She didn't say a word, just walked in, curled up on the couch like a wounded kitten, and buried her face in her palms. Camy sat beside her, heart pounding. Mira, what's going on? Silence. Just trembling shoulders and muffled sobs. Then, between hiccups, Mira whispered. I'm pregnant. The room went still. Camy stared at her. What? I'm pregnant, she repeated, louder this time, her voice cracking under the weight of the words. I didn't plan it. I don't even know who the father is. Camy's jaw dropped. What do you mean you don't know? And the whole story came spilling out. The heartbreak. The rebound night. The man whose name she never asked. The alcohol. The morning after. The test. The search. The shame. I've tried to be good all my life, Camy. You know I have. I told myself I'd wait until marriage. And then, this happened. I don't even remember half the night. And now I have to live with this thing inside me that I don't know how to face. Camy pulled her into a hug, and Mira broke, sobbing like a child. I feel like I ruined everything. No, babe, you didn't. You made a mistake. One night doesn't erase who you are. I'm sorry, Mira, I took you to the bar. I share some blame too. Mira paused. No. It's got nothing to do with you, you wanted to cheer me up. I'm scared everyone will think I'm just like. She stopped. Like who? Camy prompted gently. Mira shook her head. Forget it. Camy didn't push. But the look in her eyes said, I'm not going anywhere. They say secrets don't stay buried for long. Mira had been doing her best to hide the symptoms: loose clothes, feigned appetite, quiet exits during nausea. But you can only dodge suspicion for so long with a hawk mother like hers. It happened on a Sunday evening. She goes home every weekend and she didn't know what excuse to come up with. She didn't know what to tell her parents, so she kept the routine. She was washing dishes when her mother walked in and casually dropped the question. Mira, when was your last period? The plate nearly slipped from her hand. What? You've been moving funny. Throwing up in the mornings. Don't think I haven't noticed. Answer me, when last did you see your period? Silence. Mira's throat went dry. Her vision blurred. Mira? I'm late, she whispered. Her mother stared, a slow horror blooming on her face. How late? Almost 2 months. The slap came out of nowhere. Hot. Sharp. Devastating. You filthy, ungrateful child. Mummy, please. How dare you disgrace this family? After all our prayers? After all our sacrifice? Her father came rushing in. What's going on? She's pregnant, her mother screamed. That's what's going on. Your daughter is pregnant out of wedlock. Silence fell like a bomb. Her father's face changed. First confusion. Then disbelief. Then, something worse. Disappointment. Deep. Cutting. Unforgiving. He didn't say a word. Just turned around and walked away. The silence was louder than the slap. The days that followed were unbearable. She knew she couldn't leave yet, but she was barely holding on. Her mother alternated between crying loud prayers and calling her names. Her father stopped speaking to her completely. Mira shrank into herself. Ate in silence. Slept in guilt. Woke up crying. Camy checked in every day, even snuck her vitamins and encouraged her to consider seeing a doctor. You have to take care of yourself, Camy said one night. For your sake. And for the baby's. Mira nodded slowly, her hand subconsciously cradling the tiny swell that was beginning to form. She hadn't thought of it as a baby before. But now, it was real. It was hers. Still, deep inside, a longing brewed like storm clouds. What if he knew? What if he remembered her? Would he care? Would he look for her? But he was gone. Like smoke. All she had was this child. And the burning ache of not knowing what could have been. Time passed. Slowly, painfully. Her parents no longer spoke to her with the same warmth. There was shame in their eyes. Disappointment too. But underneath it all, Mira noticed something else: fear. For her future. For their daughter walking an unknown road. Only Camy remained her pillar. She drove her to appointments, helped shop for baby things in secret, and stayed over when the loneliness got too heavy to carry. One evening, while rubbing Mira's growing belly, Camy said, "You're going to be an amazing mum." "I don't even know who I am anymore," Mira whispered. "You're still Mira. The girl who once taught me how to stand up for myself. The girl who believed love should be sacred. And maybe, this baby came from something messy and unexpected. But it doesn't make them any less a blessing." Tears ran down Mira's cheeks. "I want to believe that." Gee. The days bled into nights, and weeks quietly turned into months. Mira's world had shrunk down to the 4 walls of Camy's modest 2-bedroom flat. It smelled like vanilla candles and microwave popcorn most nights, and it often rang with Camy's bad singing in the shower. Still, it was the only place Mira felt safe, where she could grieve, grow, and gather what was left of her dignity. Her belly had begun to show now. Not enough for strangers to know, but enough that her oversized hoodies could no longer hide it from those who knew her well. And with each flutter, each tiny movement inside her, the panic inside her only grew louder. One morning, she sat curled up on Camy's couch, staring down at the stretch marks beginning to etch their way around her hips. The room was quiet, except for the humming of the refrigerator. Then, kick. Her breath caught. She pressed both hands to her stomach. Did you just, she whispered, her eyes wide. Another little nudge. This baby was real. Tears brimmed in her eyes, not of regret, not exactly. It was more like awe. Like she had been chosen, even in her brokenness, to carry something so alive. Camy walked out of her room yawning, in oversized satin shorts and a bonnet, her brows raised. What's with the tears? Is it morning sickness or hormonal madness this time? Mira laughed and wiped her cheeks. She moved, Camy. The baby moved. Camy's mouth dropped open. She rushed to sit beside her, one hand on Mira's belly like a child feeling magic for the first time. Oh my God. You're really gonna be a mom, she whispered. I'm scared, Mira admitted softly. What if I mess this up? What if I'm not enough? Camy turned to face her fully, cupping her cheeks. You were enough before this baby, and you'll be even more after. You've always been the strongest person I know, Mira. They hadn't called since that night she stormed out. Her mother's words still echoed in her chest like a curse. You'll shame us all. Don't come back with disgrace hanging on your body. But one morning, around her 7th month, her father showed up at Camy's house. Camy opened the door, surprised. Sir, Mr. Obiako. Mira stepped into the living room, heart thudding. Her belly was visible, and she made no attempt to hide it. If her father had come to shame her, let him. She was too tired to pretend anymore. He stared at her stomach. Silent. Then, is it a boy or a girl? Her eyes filled with tears. I don't know yet. He nodded, lips trembling. Then he broke down right there in Camy's living room. I wasn't supposed to say those things. We were scared. Ashamed. But mostly, disappointed in ourselves, he choked. You're still my daughter. And I want to be part of this baby's life, if you'll let me. Mira stood frozen. Then, slowly, she stepped forward into his arms. I missed you, Daddy. Even with her parents back in her life, supportive now, visiting often, Mira chose to remain with Camy till she gave birth. That small apartment had become her womb of healing. Nights were the hardest. She'd lie on her side, cradling her belly, whispering to the baby, I'm sorry you don't have a dad around yet. I tried to find him, I swear I did. But Lagos was too big and memories too blurred. She didn't even know his real name, just a barely there memory and a face she could only vaguely recall. A shadow from a night that felt like a dream. Still, she dreamed of him. She remembered the way his arms held her when her body was too numb to stand, the way his voice calmed her in the Uber, the way he refused her at first, trying to protect her even when she asked for him. She hadn't just given him her body that night, she'd unknowingly given him a piece of her heart. And though she didn't remember it all, something inside her told her, he would return. Camy sat beside her one night, the TV humming in the background. You ever think about what you'd say to him if you found him? Mira paused, rubbing her stomach slowly. I don't know, she whispered. Thank you, maybe. Or, why? Why didn't you stop me? Camy blinked. You think he took advantage of you? No, Mira's voice was soft but firm. He was kind. I remember that. He tried to stop me. But I begged him. I was just so broken. She looked up, eyes glossy. He didn't force me. But I wish I'd waited. Camy pulled her into a hug. You didn't lose your worth, Mira. You're not broken. You're braver than anyone I know. Mira's final trimester was a dance between discomfort and anticipation. Her belly swelled with life, 2 lives, as it turned out. Twins. The doctor's 2 babies, Mira. You really overachieved this time, Camy had laughed, wiping away tears of surprise. But the joy came with more aches, more fatigue, more lonely nights whispering lullabies to her unborn children. Her parents visited every weekend now, bringing food, baby clothes, and quietly weeping when they thought she wasn't looking. Still, the hole inside her remained. She didn't know how to name it, longing, perhaps. A strange ache for the man who had been a stranger, but whose warmth lingered in her memory like perfume on old clothes. He had vanished, yet part of him was growing inside her. One humid Wednesday afternoon, Mira stepped out for her routine antenatal checkup. Camy was at work, and her dad's driver had dropped her at the clinic. But she decided to walk the last few streets home. She wanted air. Needed to move. The Lego sun beat down fiercely as she crossed the quiet intersection near the Victoria Island Bridge. Cars slowed for her. But one didn't. Daniel. He had just returned from a tech conference in Cape Town. His mind had been all over the place. That morning, he had awoken with a familiar dream, the green-dressed girl, the way she had kissed him, the way she had disappeared without a trace. He hadn't been able to shake her from his thoughts, no matter how much he tried to drown himself in work. He didn't see her until it was too late. The car screeched. Mira froze. The bumper nudged her gently, but enough to send her sprawling. She landed hard on her side, clutching her belly. Pain. Oh God, no. Daniel jumped out of the car, his heart in his throat. Jesus. Are you okay? I didn't. And then their eyes met. Recognition. 1,000 unspoken words in a single second. Her eyes widened. His breath caught. Mira? She opened her mouth to speak, but a sharp pain ripped through her. Oh God, no, it's happening, she gasped, her hands tightening over her belly. What? What's happening? My babies. I think I'm in labor. He didn't wait. He scooped her into his arms, yelling for help as bystanders gathered. Within minutes, he was racing her to the nearest private hospital. Labor was chaos. Myra's screams echoed down the corridor. Nurses flurried around her. Doctors gave calm but urgent instructions. Camy arrived in tears, holding Myra's hand until they wheeled her into the delivery room. Daniel paced the hall like a man possessed. He didn't know what to think, what to feel. Was she married? Was the child his? Were the children his? He had only her first name. But now, he was here. And everything was happening at once. Then came the doctor. You're the father? We need your consent for a special test. Consent? Why? One of the babies has a rare blood condition. We need to confirm a parental match urgently for treatment. Do the test, Daniel said immediately, heart thudding. Hours passed. Mira gave birth to 2 beautiful babies, a boy and a girl. Tiny, wriggling, perfect. Daniel held his breath as the doctor returned with the results. Mr. Daniels, the babies, one especially, needed an immediate transfusion. Yours was a match. And, the DNA confirms it. You're the father. Daniel's knees almost gave out. He stared through the glass at the 2 infants in the incubator. His. He hadn't just imagined that night. It had been real. And this was real too. When he finally saw Mira, she was pale but awake. Camy stood protectively nearby, arms crossed. Daniel stepped in slowly. She looked up at him. He swallowed. Hi. Hi, she whispered. I'm sorry. For the accident. For everything. I remember you now. He stepped closer, hesitant. I wanted to find you. I left my number. I thought you didn't want to be found. I didn't even know your name. He smiled sadly. Daniel. Daniel Ease. And those are our babies. She looked away, tears gathering. I didn't plan for any of this. I was so lost. I'm sorry. Don't be. I should have stopped it, but I didn't. Still, I've thought about you every day. A beat. Camy cleared her throat and quietly stepped out. Daniel sat beside her bed. Let me help. Let me be here. Not because I feel guilty. But because I want to. I care. She looked at him. I don't even know who you are. Then let's start over. Move in with me. Let me care for you. For them. Let me earn your trust. She blinked, unsure. Then the baby's cry echoed from down the hall. A sound so raw and beautiful, it made her tear up. Daniel stood. Come home with me. Just for now. You and the twins. You won't have to do this alone. Something in his voice made her believe him. That night, they left the hospital together. Her, weak but healing. Him, shaken but determined. And though the road ahead was uncertain, Mira had a feeling this was only the beginning of a story more powerful than anything she could have dreamed. A story born in heartbreak, but reborn in love. The first night at Daniel's Akoi penthouse was nothing short of overwhelming. Mira stood in the foyer, rocking one of the babies as Daniel held the other. The house was massive, glass walls, soft lighting, warm wood floors. But more than its luxury, it felt quiet. Still. "This place doesn't look like kids have ever been here," she whispered. Daniel chuckled. "That's because they haven't." She shot him a look. "I'm serious. These twins are about to redecorate it with baby wipes and crying." He leaned in, lowering his voice. "Good. This place has needed noise for a long time." The twins, Eliana and Micah, were named during one late night in the hospital. Mira offered to let him choose one name. He chose Micah, strong but soft. She chose Eliana, meaning God has answered. They began co-parenting like people walking a tightrope, careful, unsure, balancing responsibilities while discovering how to exist in the same space. At first, Daniel took the guest room. Mira insisted. But within a week, it became harder to draw the line. He was everywhere, changing diapers, heating bottles, staying up during midnight feedings. "You don't have to do everything," she told him one night as they both rocked the twins. He met her eyes. "I want to." And he did. But he also wanted her. He didn't hide it. Daniel was subtle with the world, but not with Mira. Not with the way he watched her. The way his eyes softened when she laughed. The way he stood too close when passing the baby bottle. She felt it. One night, after the twins had finally gone down and she was curled on the couch, he sat beside her, silence stretching between them. "You're beautiful, you know," he said. She blinked. Don't what? Don't say that like we're something. We're co-parenting." He leaned in slightly. "We're a lot more than that, and you know it." Her breath hitched. "It's too soon. I'm not rushing you. I'm just not hiding. I want you, Mira. All of you." Fire burned behind his eyes, and she couldn't breathe for a moment. But she got up and walked away. Still, she couldn't deny the warmth in her chest when he looked at her like that. A month later, his parents flew in from Abuja. Mira panicked. "I'm not ready for this, Daniel. They'll think I trapped you or something." He cupped her face. "They'll love you. And I want them to know everything." She wore a soft blue gown, simple jewelry, and her nerves. The babies were dressed in matching cream outfits. Daniel's mother, elegant and poised, gasped when she saw them. "Oh my lord, twins?" His father blinked slowly. "You didn't mention twins, Daniel." Daniel smiled. "There's a lot I didn't mention." He told them the whole story over dinner. Silence followed. Then his mother reached for Mira's hand. "You were alone. Pregnant. And you kept going. You raised these babies with love. I don't care how you met. You're strong. You're everything I prayed my son would find." Mira cried. For the first time, not out of fear, but relief. Daniel's father stood. "Welcome to the family, Mira." She was overwhelmed with their love and acceptance even when she wasn't ready to be a part of their lives. They left after 1 week. "I'm so glad you're here with my son, please accept him." "We would have loved to stay longer but business calls," they said as Daniel drove them to the airport. Rain trickled softly against the windows of Daniel's apartment, painting everything in a muted silver hue. Mira stood by the fireplace in the living room, her arms wrapped around herself. She and Daniel had just finished putting Micah and Eliana to sleep upstairs. Daniel's eyes had watched her the entire time, like he was memorizing the way her fingers moved, the way her lips curved when she whispered lullabies. Now the baby monitor hummed quietly beside them. Mira felt his presence before he even stepped close. She didn't have to turn. There was something about Daniel's energy that wrapped around her like thick velvet, warm, unavoidable, intense. "You're doing amazing with our babies," he murmured from behind, voice low and rough. Mira swallowed. "They're easy to love." Daniel took a slow step forward, then another, until she could feel the heat of his body close to her back. He didn't touch her, but every cell in Mira's skin came alive like he had. "Not just with them," he said. "With me too." She turned around too quickly, needing to break the moment, to deny what he was suggesting, what he'd been steadily, relentlessly building between them for weeks. But the moment she faced him, she wished she hadn't. His eyes. That same eyes she remembered from months ago, only now it's filled with desire, with longing, like a man who'd lost her once and had no intention of making the same mistake twice. Daniel, her voice trembled with warning. Or maybe need. He didn't wait. His hand reached out, brushing her cheek with the back of his fingers. Gentle. Reverent. I know you're scared, he whispered. But I feel you. Every time you smile, every time you flinch when I get too close. You want me, Mira. Myra's breath caught in her throat. I'm not trying to play games with you. I'm not even asking you to jump into anything, he said, voice rough with restraint. But damn it, woman, I've missed you in ways I can't explain. And now that I have you again, I can't pretend I don't want more. Her fingers trembled as she placed them against his chest. Daniel, so much has changed. He covered her hand with his, pressing it flat over his heart. And yet, this hasn't. Silence stretched between them, heavy and dangerous. Myra's eyes dropped to his lips, a betrayal she couldn't control. He noticed. Of course he did. He leaned in slowly. Too slow. Painfully slow. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears, and just when his lips were a breath away, Mira inhaled sharply and stepped back. I can't. Her eyes shone with emotion, with war. Daniel didn't force it. He just nodded, pain flashing in his eyes, but understanding too. Okay. But just know. I'm not stopping. I'll wait, Mira. I'll win you again. Properly this time. She fled before he could say more, locking herself in the guest room, pressing trembling fingers to her lips. Because if she had waited just one more second, she would have kissed him back. The next afternoon, Mira sat on the cushion in the penthouse, scrolling absent-mindedly through her phone while the twins napped and Daniel was out for an emergency meeting. She called Camy. She needed to talk to someone who wouldn't judge her, someone who had known her long enough to read the truth behind her silences. Her best friend's voice was as bright as ever. How are my favorite twins and their hot daddy? Mira groaned. Don't start. Oh, I've already started. Spill. You've been quiet for days. I'm confused, Camy. I don't know what I'm feeling anymore. I mean, Daniel is he's so kind. And consistent. And it's driving me crazy because I don't want to feel this way. I didn't plan any of this. He didn't either. There was silence on the other end for a moment, then Camy spoke gently. Do you want him to stop being kind? No. Mira said quickly. I'm scared. Every time he holds Zayn and Zuri like they're the best thing that's ever happened to him, something inside me melts. He's gentle with them. He checks on me. He makes this house feel like a home, and yesterday. She paused, her voice thinning. He almost kissed me. Camsy's eyes widened. Wait, what? Did you kiss him back? Mira shook her head quickly. No. I pulled away. But the worst part? I wanted to kiss him back. For a second, I forgot everything, how it all started, the drunken mistake, the fact that we barely knew each other. I just felt seen. Wanted. And safe. And you're scared because it feels too good to be true. Yes, Mira whispered. Camy exhaled. Mira, listen to me. You're not obligated to fall in love with him just because he's the father of your kids. But you also don't have to fight what's real. I've seen you suffer, I've seen you survive. Maybe this is your chance to thrive. Don't punish yourself for wanting more. And don't be afraid to lean into it, even a little. Mira felt a lump rise in her throat. I don't know if I can trust it yet, she confessed. Then don't trust the future. Trust today, Camy said softly. And trust yourself. They ended the call just as the front door clicked open. Daniel stepped in, holding 2 paper bags and grinning. I got some groceries after work, he said, heading straight to the kitchen. Mira wiped her face quickly and followed. As he unpacked fresh fruits, cereal, and baby wipes, he glanced at her. Are you okay? He asked, voice quiet. Yes, she said. I was just on the phone with Camy. Daniel had kept his word. He hadn't tried to seduce her. No stolen kisses. No midnight touches. But his presence was seductive in itself. The way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. The way he protected her peace by whisking the twins off when she had deadlines. The way he celebrated every small win in her online job like it mattered to him. It was a Tuesday evening when Mira finally broke. The twins had gone to bed early, exhausted after a day at the park. The house was quiet, save for the gentle hum of the AC and the soft jazz playing in the background. Daniel was in the kitchen, shirtless, making tea. She leaned against the doorframe, her oversized tee doing little to conceal her figure. He looked up and smiled. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. She hesitated before stepping in. "No. Just thinking." He handed her a mug, his fingers brushing hers, warm, deliberate, slow. "About what?" She sipped, watching him over the rim. "Us." He stilled, his eyes searching hers. "Us? I've been trying to fight this, whatever this is. But I'm tired, Daniel. You're everywhere. You're in my space, in my thoughts, in my children's laughter. And I think I've been lying to myself because I was scared." Daniel set down his cup. Took a step closer. "What are you scared of, Mira?" "That this might be real," she whispered. "That I might want it to be." Her breath caught as he leaned in. The kiss was not rushed, not desperate, but deep, full of all the silent longing they had held back for months. His lips moved against hers like they belonged there, like he had always known the exact way to kiss her. She melted into him. Her fingers tangled in his hair, his hands slid over her hips, and every part of her screamed yes. He broke the kiss, eyes locked on hers. "Mira, marry me." Her heart stuttered. "Daniel," she breathed, stunned, overwhelmed, almost trembling. "I." He reached for her hand gently. "You don't have to say yes now. I just needed you to know, this is where I want to be. With you. With them. Forever." Tears blurred her eyes. She pulled her hand back slowly, not because she didn't want it, but because she needed to breathe. "I'm not saying no. But I need time. I need to know this isn't just because of the twins. That it's not pressure or responsibility or—" He reached over and cupped her cheek with such tenderness that it broke her resolve. "It's not. It's you. Just you. I was lost before you. Then you came, gave me them, and gave me something I didn't think I deserved. Let me prove this isn't temporary." She nodded, silent tears falling, and he kissed her forehead. No pressure. No demands. Just a promise in the way he held her. That night, she slept in his arms, tangled in warmth, the past finally quiet for the first time in a long while. And it felt like home. The next few weeks felt like a dream Mira wasn't sure she was allowed to live in. Daniel didn't just love her, he adored her. He took on the twins like he'd always been meant to be their father, and truthfully, Mira couldn't deny it anymore. That night, the house was quiet. The twins were tucked in their crib, their soft breaths filling the nursery like a lullaby. Mira had just finished a video call with her freelance client, her fingers slightly cramped from typing most of the evening. She stretched and padded barefoot down the hallway toward the kitchen, hoping to grab a bottle of water before bed. Daniel was already there, leaning against the counter in his usual gray sweatpants and black shirt, a glass of wine in hand. The kitchen light cast a golden hue over his features, highlighting the softness in his gaze as he watched her. "You work too much," he said quietly, his eyes never leaving her face. Mira smirked, reaching into the fridge. "Freelance life." He closed the distance, his hands cupped her waist. "Mira. I meant every word. I know we started messy. I know I've made mistakes. But I love you. I want a future with you and our babies. Just say yes." Tears welled in her eyes, but this time, they weren't from fear. They were from release. From longing. From the moment she had tried so hard to bury. "I need time," she had told him weeks ago. But now, she stepped forward, wrapping her arms around his neck, pressing her forehead to his. "You already have my heart," she said. "Yes, Daniel. I'll marry you." His breath caught. He lifted her effortlessly, carrying her to the bedroom as if she weighed nothing. That night, their bodies met with a hunger that had long been restrained. He undressed her slowly, reverently, kissing every inch of skin like she was sacred. Mira's hands explored the muscles of his back, her nails dragging across his skin as he buried himself in her, whispering promises against her ear. "I'll never let you go," he murmured, moving with a rhythm that had her gasping his name. Their passion burned, hot, desperate, but laced with something deeper. Intimacy. Trust. A love built not on perfection, but on everything they'd weathered together. When it was over, they lay tangled in each other's arms. Mira's head rested against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "We're really doing this," she said softly. Daniel kissed her forehead. "We always were. You just needed time to see it." She smiled. "Well, I see it now." And for the first time in a long time, Mira didn't feel like she was surviving. She felt like she was finally, truly living. The wedding preparations began almost immediately after Mira accepted Daniel's proposal. Though she had initially asked for time, once she gave her heart fully, everything else came naturally. The ring on her finger gleamed with every movement, and though she wasn't one for grand gestures, this felt right. Not rushed. Not forced. Just right. Daniel, ever the planner, had already secured a wedding planner before she could even bring herself to look at dresses. The planner, a warm and detail-oriented woman named Ifeoma, made everything easy, perhaps too easy. Mira couldn't help but laugh at how Daniel, the man she once barely remembered after a drunken night, was now doting over table arrangements, flower palettes, and how long her veil should be. Her parents, though disappointed by the circumstances surrounding her pregnancy, had never stayed distant. They visited regularly during her pregnancy and were an unshakable support when the twins were born. Now, as Daniel made his intentions official, her parents' disappointment melted into quiet acceptance. They saw the sincerity in his eyes, the gentleness in the way he treated their daughter and grandchildren. One rainy Saturday morning, Mira sat with her mother on the veranda, watching the twins wobble around in matching socks. Her mother's fingers worked quickly, peeling oranges, as she glanced sideways at her daughter. "So, you're marrying him," she said quietly, not accusing, just curious. Mira nodded, her voice equally soft. "Yes, Mama. I love him. I didn't want to. I tried not to. But he's constant. Safe. He shows up every single day, and I want that. I want him." Her mother reached out and squeezed her hand, the same hands that had once spanked her in teenage rebellion now warm with understanding. "Then hold on to that, Mira. Hold on to the love, not the shame." It was a simple statement, but it felt like a release. The knot in Mira's chest began to unravel. The wedding day arrived like a dream. Held at a serene garden venue just outside Lagos, the air was filled with lavender, soft jazz, and laughter. Micah and Eliana wore tiny matching outfits, Micah with a beaded headband that kept sliding off and Eliana chewing on the corner of Daniel's custom suit as the crowd melted. Mira walked down the aisle in a sleek ivory gown that shimmered subtly under the golden rays of the setting sun. Her heart thudded as she locked eyes with Daniel, steady, smiling, and already teary. Their vows were more than words, they were a merging of two complicated hearts that had grown together through chaos, doubt, and deepening affection. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Daniel didn't just kiss her, he cradled her like she was his beginning and end. Married life wasn't perfect. There were sleepless nights when the twins got sick. Arguments over diaper duties. Miscommunications about work schedules. But there were also lazy Sunday mornings with laughter, the soft hum of cartoons, and pancakes made with love. There were kisses stolen in the kitchen. Plans whispered in the dark. And above all, there was a sense of home neither of them had known before. Mira worked from her home office, balancing clients and twins with the rhythm of a woman who had rebuilt herself. Daniel adjusted his company calendar to make time for family breakfasts and impromptu playground runs. They weren't just co-parents anymore. They were partners. Lovers. Friends. One night, after putting the twins to bed, Mira curled into Daniel's chest, tracing circles on his skin. "You know what still amazes me," she whispered. "What?" he asked, brushing her curls back. "That a drunken mistake turned into the greatest love story of my life." Daniel kissed her forehead. It was fate disguised as chaos. And for the first time in a long time, Mira believed she was worth being loved like that. That sometimes, the messiest beginnings create the most beautiful endings. Thanks for watching. If this love story touched you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more unforgettable romance tales. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment your favorite part below, we'd love to know what moved you most. Share with someone who loves a good story of passion, forgiveness, and happily ever after. Until next time, keep believing in love.